Oh, we are right on it. 77. All listening done on the Jotunheim 2 on that dial at 77. I went from 77 and at one point I went to 85. That's a bad thing. I felt like I had to do that to get some details that I felt like I was missing. It didn't work out. Let me summarize this really quickly. For rich, low-end lovers not infatuated with micro detail. One more time. For rich, people with lots of money, that's me. Low-end lovers, that's me. Not infatuated with micro details, that's not me. And that's a huge problem. So I guess you can see where this is going. This will be educational. Forget about this is too expensive for you. Please watch this video. I'll try not to make it long. This is a great example of making things simple. Really, really simplifying. Instead of big words, let me put it to you this way. Have you ever heard the HE6se by Sennheiser? You know, the big one that makes everything sound like, it makes a jazz quartet sound like they're in the middle of Madison Square Garden, which is not what it's supposed to sound like. It's supposed to sound like an intimate, club. HE6se treats everything and puts it in a blender of super space. It's not my thing at all. And it also emphasizes the treble. So imagine a stage and you've got your bassist, you're facing the stage, you got the bassist on the left, some other instruments, you got the vocalist, the drums in the center, and then you've got the guitarist on the right. That's how it starts out. Typically 70s, 60s sets will start like that. Even the Allman Brothers did like that. And then they'll migrate around. But with that in mind, the HE6se is sounding like the stage is kicked this way, or you're more to the right and you can catch the guitar solos and the upper harmonics, and the cymbal strikes are prominent because maybe you got a good mangle on that, or the amps or something is keying in and you're getting a lot of upper frequency energy, but you're not catching a lot of the bassist. He sounds distant, and also part of the drum play sounds a little bit not kind of ideal to you. You wish you had better seats. That's the HE6se. It's got an emphasized treble, and as the second penalty to make it sound even more emphasized, it's got rolled sub bass, kicked like this. The Meze is the opposite. The exact opposite is what this is. That stage is kicked this way, so the bassist is closer to you. And some of the drums sound closer to you, and that gives the opposite effect of the HE6se by putting the guitarist further away, and cymbal strikes sound further away, and vocalists in general sound further away. It's the opposite experience, and I would prefer something like the SUSVARA, the HE6se, that gives a little bit more balance, where I can hear the basses fine, I can hear cymbal strikes prominent when they're supposed to be, less prominent when they're not supposed to be. Vocalists always sounding about where they sound in the master, which is usually reasonably up front, not in your face, but not behind the mix, sounding like they're next to the drummer. They should sound like they're in front of it. The Meze is a flawed Summit Fi headphone that initially blew me away because I was listening to it as a music enthusiast and just listening to music. In that sense, I thought it was great. And then when I started to review it and listen to it and compare it to a set that is 1/10 its price, which is the Modhouse Audio T50RP Mark II, somebody said, that's the Mark III, bro. No, it's actually the Mark II, bro. And he wanted the suspension because he thought that that headband was cool and all that. So there's a lot of versions, and you can get what you asked from that guy. So that's a 2. And I paid for that, and I love that. So I'm not comparing this to a random like $300 set and saying that's 10 times better, or that's better than this. I fell in love with that with this track right here, Wild Horses by the Rolling Stones. This plays that completely different from the Modhouse. The Modhouse has elevated bass, done better than the Meze. It's also got mids that are better than the Meze, and it's got overall res that is better than the Meze. And I told somebody in a forum that I'll go correct that this is the natural step up from the T50RP because it's got the bass feeling like it's really always going to be there. And a lot of sets don't do that. They're actually rolled. I edit that, bro, and if you watch this, I'm sorry. I just said that yesterday. Sitting down and listening to the T50RP Mark II and this, I would take the T50RP every single time. Goes to show you that price really, like in everything else, it doesn't guarantee you anything. U2 War. This is interesting. There's a track on this called Seconds. I fucking love this. It's the best. This is when they actually were still... I won't get into it. U2 has totally lost me now, but this album was pretty epic. There's a part of this around 1:18 where there sounds like there's a guy doing something like a radio. He's standing, or you're watching a film of a guy talking about something that he doesn't want to do. I can't remember the exact dialogue, but he's saying, I can't do it, but I'm going to have to do it. I think it's maybe about the atomic bomb. That is what it's about, pretty much. Something about the atomic bomb, he doesn't want to do it, but they're going to have to do it. And while he's talking, there's a commercial on a television behind him talking about the Air Force Reserves. Can you understand what I'm saying? You're listening to a song, and in that song is dubbed part of a movie that's related to the atomic bomb. Maybe that's related to the seconds. It takes a second to say goodbye, oh, oh, oh. Push the button and pull the plug. And so I didn't even think about that, but that's what that dialogue is. And in the background of the guy doing the dialogue about not wanting to do something to destroy the world, but he's going to have to do it, is a television commercial inside that. So it's like a box with a box inside it, with a box inside that, in the audio version. So you really ought to go check this out. It's U2 War, Seconds, and the event. There's a vocal that starts at 1:18 that is weird as hell. Try to catch that if you can. But from 2 minutes and 2 seconds to 2:12 is where that box and a box and a box thing. It's totally fuzzy on this set. And everything that I listened to did the same thing. When I listened to Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing, 4 stars for the intro, 3 stars as soon as Marvin Gaye starts opening his mouth. That's pretty much the way it goes with this set. So the bass sounded good. Honestly, the bass on this is not as good as the Mod House, and it's pretty decent, but it's actually not better than the HiFiman HE6se. I'll not say the SUSVARA. Holy crap, can we go along? I wouldn't say... Actually, let's go back. Sorry if you're getting dizzy. I'm not swinging my head, I'm swinging the music. Marvin Gaye, I think it's track 15 off of this. Marvin Gaye Gold. There we go. Track 15, Sexual Healing. The 808 rolling. As soon as that comes in, bam, fantastic. As soon as Marvin starts singing, oh, we're in low-res territory. That's what this sounds like. It's not a power issue. I'm at 77 dB out of Jotunheim 2 in high gain, and I am just cracking 7 p.m. on that. I've got tons and gobs of power. It's got nothing to do with power. This just isn't a set that hit the spot like HiFiman hit the spot. It didn't hit the spot like Mod House hit the spot with a messed up Fostex that they make tons of money, not they make little money, modifying it so that it's more presentable to your ears, because in its raw form it's maybe not so much so. And when it's done like that, it's a better set than the set that I've got right here. It does the kick drum on the 4th album by Led Zeppelin, and then everything else after that doesn't sound that great. So low end sounds like it's what you're closer to the bassist amplifier, and everything else is there, but it sounds distant. It's very rare that Ginger Baker's strike at 27 seconds of Can't Find My Way Home on Blind Fate's one and only album sounds somewhat subdued. That's a significant strike, and yet it does on this set. Hey, what can I do? Cymbal strikes. 7, 13, 16, 28, 37, 41, 47, 53, 59 all sound subdued compared to how they sound on almost every other good set that I've listened to. And by good, I mean I get my bassist, I get my vocalist, I get my drummer, I get my guitar solos without getting fatigued. And I enjoy all of them equally, and some songs present one more, like this right here is presenting John Bonham as front and center at the beginning, and then I go to the second album and I've got John Paul Jones who's getting the spotlight at the beginning of a track. When they're supposed to be the focus, I can enjoy that because the headphone will do that, and then when it goes back to putting everything kind of in balance, it does that also. The Meze doesn't do that with my library. So this is where music and context, the music being the context, becomes important. You might have a library, I don't know what that would be, I don't think it would be classical, that this would shine on, but it doesn't shine on my library. It again and again, and so I'll stop going on that. Cymbals constantly subpar, vocals always a bit back, always a bit back. For rich low-end lovers not infatuated with micro details, that intro was really the summary of the whole set. It's not recommended. I'm not upset. I gotta learn, I gotta understand, and then try to give that to you. And this is a person who started as a music lover enjoying a set and then decided to because it's what I do, evaluate the set using my library. And when it became time to evaluate it, it lost its shine, which gives merit to the evaluation because everything shouldn't make it through. And this really didn't at all. Not mad, but I'll be moving off of it. So that's the Meze. If you like it, you know what I mean? You're watching me and you're thinking, this does nothing to me. I don't know. He's not speaking to me at all. Man, enjoy. Seriously, this is all about you enjoying your library in your way, at your volume, and fuck everybody that doesn't agree with you because you spent the money. I can't get how it's enjoyed for this much money. Or less. But I'll not start ranting. So that's the Meze. And I'm out.
Selling cocaine, the ripping shows live on stage with hoes yelling my name. To be precise, ripping mics is the light of my life. You frontin' like you trifle, never pulled the heist.